Ever since Universal Pictures' Dracula first hit theaters in 1931, it's become a known fact that the most important part of making any movie scary is having a great monster. Unfortunately, the horror genre has become too oversaturated with crappy remakes, poorly aged classics, and films that don't even bother having real monsters.
You're so scared.
They're a disgrace to horror, and it just feels like false advertising. So today on
4menTV,
we're paying respects to the real icons of horror by counting down the top 10 scariest monsters in film. Starting off our list, we have the Springwood slasher himself, Freddy Krueger of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Freddy is a dream demon who is able to hop into the dreams of any unlucky teenager who gets in his way. This guy can do all sorts of crazy things in the dream world. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. In the past, he transformed a young girl into a giant cockroach, used a teenager's love for video games against him by making him fight a 16-bit version of his father, and even turned the Jason Voorhees into a living pinball. Even more horrifying than that, though, he used to kidnap children and rape. Some of you might be wondering why we didn't choose Pennywise for this spot. After all, Pennywise is the main focus of the franchise. The reason people keep coming back to this story. The hook, if you will. So surely he has to be the scariest element, right? And while Pennywise certainly has his moments, we have to remember that most of the fear that the Bowers gang bring along is psychological. It's real. In real life, we never have to deal with evil clowns that turn into tarantulas. We have to deal with bullies. They're everywhere. At school, at work, in our neighborhoods, online. There is no escape.
Hello! You so you're a queer, aren't you? Queer! What are you?
And while our bullies may not be as psychopathic as Henry Bowers was, they'll still follow us wherever we go. It's kind of sad that currently no adaptation exists that focuses on trauma. Instead, we just have a bunch of movies about some gay clown. Question: who's worse, Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster? Well, if Frankenstein looked as gangly and disgusting as Arthur Fleck's mother, then perhaps more would be willing to answer me. Batman's arch-nemesis, the Clown Prince of Crime, has always held a mysterious origin throughout his 80-year lifespan, leaving us to wonder how someone this evil could come to be. What could have created this monster? How could we have stopped him? The 2019 horror film Joker seeks to answer these questions in one word: the mom. In a surprising twist, however, the Joker actually turns out to be the hero in this flick, by dealing a satisfying blow to the evil witch. Nice. You would think that in a documentary about fast food, the scariest part would be the caloric intake. Unfortunately, that wasn't true in the case of 2004's Supersize Me.
Think about what I'm saying.
Halfway through the film, we see former Subway spokesperson Jared Fogle speaking to a crowd of students about his weight loss. You might not understand why this is such a big deal, but one Google search of this guy's name will send shivers down your spine. Going back to rewatch this scene in the doc just changes everything. Yikes! It kind of makes you wonder, if this dude is such a villain, why isn't he portrayed that way in the movie? Makes you wonder about the filmmaker. Mr. Spurlock claims that he gained 24 pounds from eating fast food every day for 1 month. But when you do the math, this simply does not add up. Not only that, but after 16 years, Spurlock still hasn't posted his food log publicly. So we have no idea if he was being truthful about his diet. And the fact that he was able to lie so effortlessly to the entire world just seems sociopathic. Like his production company is literally called The Con. Why was he so dead set on taking down McDonald's? What'd they ever do to him? Say what you want about Jared Fogle, but at least he was honest about his diet and didn't try to take down the fast food industry. And another thing, Morgan, I work at McDonald's. And the fact that you put my job at risk because you wanted to make a documentary where you mock fat people just pisses me off. Mr. Spurlock, supersize this. In the Fairly Odd movie, Timmy Turner is accompanied by 3 fairies who are able to grant him any wish in the world. And according to the canon, he's had these fairies for about 13 years. Wow, I wonder what he's done in those 13 years to help improve the world. Did he solve world hunger? Stop global warming? Bring peace to the Middle East? No. Timmy has spent those last 13 years living like a 10-year-old.
Oh, a sword?
I hope he likes it.
Wait, you mean...
Staying in the same grade, living with his parents, and not helping a single damn person. I'm glad this asshole lost his house. To make matters worse, the film ends with this selfish prick giving up his fairy so he can date the girl of his dreams. If I was in this guy's shoes, I'd fix all the problems in the world, and then I would acquire a girlfriend. Unfortunately, in real life, the Joshes of this world have to watch as the Drake slowly destroy it.
Feel it, baby.
Who doesn't love Mark Wahlberg? The wholesome Bostonian who stole our hearts in Boogie Nights. Who always plays the lovable scoundrel in his films. What's so horrible about him? Well, only his role in the 2017 documentary 9/11. Now you're probably wondering, how could Mark Wahlberg be the villain in 9/11? He wasn't even in that movie. Well, good sir, that's exactly the problem. When I was doing research for the film, I found an article from Mark Wahlberg stating that he was originally supposed to be on one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center, but chickened out at the last second. This act of cowardice doomed the lives of almost 3,000 people.
What? No.
Instead of saving those lives and being in that movie, Mark opted to terrorize innocent Vietnamese people and star in Ted 2. Who would have thought that the most horrifying monster in Jeepers Creepers would be the one behind the camera? Okay, let me get something out of the way first. The Jeepers Creepers movies are awesome. I will not doubt that for a second. But even I have to admit something needs to be changed behind the scenes. As most horror fans know, the Jeepers Creepers movies are plagued by a horrible secret. The writer and director Victor Salva was convicted of child molestation in 1989. And honestly, that's way scarier than anything in the actual movies. Okay, maybe only a little scarier. I think it's about time we hand the franchise over to someone else, especially after seeing Jeepers Creepers 3. What a nightmare! Mr. Salva, we are politely asking you to turn yourself into the authorities, or at least step down from Jeepers Creepers 4. Who or what is the scariest monster to ever grace the silver screen? Well, I never thought I'd say this. It's Slenderman. Slenderman originated in the Something Awful internet forums back in 2009, during a Photoshop contest that asked users to create paranormal images. And since then, he's become a legend in the world of horror. Back in the early 2010s, you couldn't go anywhere online without seeing Slenderman videos, fan-made games, or creepypastas that expanded on his lore. But the character took its biggest leap into the mainstream in 2018, with his very own film. And let's just say, if you thought he was scary before, you should have seen him on the big screen. It's just crazy to me that a character made on a little message board by some forum poster has ended up superseding former horror icons in popularity. It just goes to show you how powerful the internet has become in the last decade. Wow, what a scary list that was. Before you get frightened, remember, they're just movies. Do you have a favorite horror monster? Sound off in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on
4menTV.